Welcome to a world where every secret, every betrayal, and every hidden truth comes to light. Here, the seemingly perfect lives crumble to reveal shocking manipulations, calculated deceit, and heart-stopping twists that leave no stone unturned. From a life torn apart by a brutal divorce to the unexpected power of an inheritance that changes everything, every story dives deep into raw emotions, family secrets, and relationships pushed to the edge. Watch as homelessness uncovers strength, as trust is shattered, and as the dark side of love is exposed. These are stories where deception meets destiny, greed meets reckoning, and hidden truths spark powerful revenge. If you crave family dramas, shocking secrets, and unforgettable emotional journeys that keep you hooked from the first moment, you're in the right place, where every story proves that nothing stays hidden forever. Everything had been stripped away in an instant. Home, security, the life carefully built over years, leaving only the hollow echo of what was lost. Every smile, every promise now felt like a cruel joke. It wasn't just the divorce that crushed what remained, but the realization that the man once trusted completely had spent years weaving a quiet, calculated deception. Documents hidden, accounts manipulated, whispers in the shadows of a life once thought solid. The truth began to surface in fragments. Emails accidentally left open, strange bank statements, small lies that never added up, each revealing a pattern of manipulation so meticulous it left no room for doubt. The betrayal was suffocating. Friends and family, once unaware, began to look at him differently when pieces of the puzzle emerged. The charming husband, the man who swore loyalty, had been orchestrating a reality where everything could be taken away quietly, leaving only the illusion of normalcy until the perfect moment of collapse. Nights were spent piecing together every conversation, every interaction, trying to untangle the threads of lies from the moments that had once felt real. Each discovery cut deeper than the last. A hidden property, secret bank accounts, subtle schemes to manipulate relationships. Even people close enough to be allies had unknowingly been pawns. Yet, amid the ruins, a strange clarity emerged. Losing everything became a kind of awakening, a lens that revealed not just his deception, but the strength buried beneath the weight of abandonment. Every setback fueled a determination that had lain dormant, a hunger not just to reclaim what was lost, but to reveal the truth that had been buried so deliberately. Each step forward carried a quiet but undeniable power, a reckoning that promised consequences for the years of manipulation, the lies, the calculated betrayals. And when the final revelation came, it was more than money or revenge. It was the undeniable exposure of a life built on falsehoods, stripped bare, leaving no shadow untouched. The last lie had finally met its match. The truth hit like a lightning strike. How someone so trusted could manipulate not just a life, but the very foundation it was built on. Every word, once spoken with tenderness, now felt like a weapon. Every promise, a carefully placed trap. The house that had been a sanctuary became a reminder of hidden schemes, and the bank statements, once reassuring, revealed a slow, deliberate unraveling. Money siphoned, investments quietly redirected, debts concealed, everything orchestrated to leave ruin in its wake. It wasn't just financial devastation, it was a full assault on trust, a carefully executed campaign to erase independence, self-worth, and dignity. Friends and family noticed the changes long before the pieces came together, the subtle hints, the way smiles didn't reach the eyes, the whispered complaints that never matched the polished charm displayed in public. It became painfully clear that what had been assumed to be love was actually control, cloaked in familiarity and comfort. Emotional manipulation, long dismissed as quirks or misunderstandings, now revealed itself as a methodical strategy. Each interaction, each decision had been choreographed to maintain the illusion while tightening the grip behind the scenes. Then, when despair had begun to feel permanent, fate intervened in the most unimaginable way. A stranger's words shattered the suffocating gloom. An inheritance long buried had been left behind, untouched and unexpectedly transformative. Suddenly, the power dynamics shifted. The life once dismantled piece by piece could now be rebuilt with resources that had been hidden, secrets waiting to turn the tables. What had seemed like the absolute end became the spark for redemption and reckoning. The very hand that had dealt betrayal would be forced to witness the consequences of a life constructed on lies. The irony wasn't lost. The very wealth hoarded, the very plans made to dominate and control, now fueled the resurgence of strength and clarity. What was meant to destroy became the instrument of exposure. The cruelest deception became the path to uncovering every hidden truth, every whispered lie, every masked betrayal. And in that moment, the scale of justice finally felt balanced. The streets became an unexpected mirror, reflecting a life stripped to its barest edges. Homelessness wasn't just a loss of home, it was a confrontation with every hidden truth that had been carefully buried. Every empty bench, every cold doorway became a stage for memories of betrayal, each one sharper than the last. What had seemed like a collapse now revealed itself as the uncovering of layers long concealed. Secrets that had been deliberately hidden, the whispered lies, the manipulated relationships, the family history rewritten to suit someone else's narrative, began to emerge piece by piece, like shadows reluctant to stay buried. There was strength in the struggle, a quiet resilience that no lavish house or comfortable routine had ever required. Every day became a negotiation with reality, a battle against humiliation, a test of endurance. And yet, amid the harshness, a clarity formed. The manipulations, the betrayals, and the intricate web of deceit orchestrated by the husband, once so hidden behind charm and authority, could no longer remain invisible. Letters, old documents, and stray conversations uncovered the depth of control, the precise ways life had been dismantled quietly. People who had been allies in ignorance were confronted with truths that made even them gasp, revealing the scope of deception that had touched every corner of a once stable existence. Every encounter with strangers, every reluctant kindness received, became a thread in a larger tapestry of revelation. The very vulnerability imposed by homelessness became a lens, focusing attention on injustices that had been overlooked, lies that had been accepted as truth, and a husband who had engineered not just financial ruin, but the erasure of dignity itself. Hidden patterns of greed, manipulation, and secrecy slowly bled into the open, impossible to ignore. And then, as if the universe had been waiting for the right moment, the first real piece of restitution appeared. A key, a name, a fortune that had been concealed. It was the start of a reckoning, the beginning of a reversal so complete that the betrayals themselves seemed to fuel a new power, a new clarity. Every secret that had been hidden, every betrayal that had left scars, was finally exposed. Everything felt irreparably broken, like the world itself had conspired to erase the life once known. Every familiar place, every carefully built routine now echoed with absence, and the man once trusted most had been revealed as someone entirely different from the image he had carefully constructed. Deception had worn a mask of charm and loyalty for years, hiding greed, manipulation, and secrets too devastating to imagine. It wasn't just betrayal, it was a deliberate, calculated erasure of everything that mattered, a life dismantled in silence while the world looked away. Then, In the middle of despair, a stranger's question shifted everything. A name, a glance, a single sentence that felt like fate itself intervening. Life-changing news, almost impossible to comprehend, fell into hands that had been empty, exhausted, and broken. An inheritance long forgotten or deliberately concealed became the catalyst, an instrument that suddenly reversed roles and power. What had been a life defined by loss and manipulation now became the doorway to exposure and justice. The very schemes meant to control, the hidden accounts, the quiet erosion of independence, all collided with a truth that could no longer be denied. The husband's carefully maintained facade began to crumble, revealing greed that had dictated every decision, deception that had infiltrated every relationship, and a personality carefully crafted to exploit trust. The world that had seemed stable and predictable was now a minefield of revelations, each one more damning than the last. Financial manipulations, long-concealed properties, secret alliances, all the signs of a man whose love had been nothing more than performance now lay bare, impossible to ignore or forgive. The shock of discovery mingled with a growing sense of power. Each secret revealed, each truth exposed, became a tool for reclaiming life and dignity. The past, filled with betrayal and hidden agendas, transformed into fuel for a reckoning long overdue. The vulnerability once forced upon a life stripped bare now became a weapon, illuminating every falsehood, every hidden agenda, every act of manipulation that had been endured in silence. And as the full scope of deception finally came to light, the man who had been so carefully believed could no longer hide behind lies. Justice had finally arrived. Thank you for joining this journey into betrayal, secrets, and shocking revelations. If you loved uncovering hidden truths, witnessing revenge, and experiencing raw emotions, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Don't miss the next story where destiny, deception, and redemption collide in ways you won't see coming.